I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Today is Tuesday, April 18, 2023. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. Another reason why voting matters, U.S. Senate Republicans are blocking Democrats from temporarily replacing Senator Dianne Feinstein on the committee that appoints federal judges, making it harder for Democrats to confirm President Joe Biden's appointment to the federal bench. That is until she returns to the Capitol. California U.S. Representative Khanna says it's time for Feinstein to resign. We'll talk to him on the show. Strong reaction out of Ohio since an Akron grand jury chose not to indict 8 officers who killed Jayland Walker. Congresswoman Emilia Strong Sykes wants the DOJ to investigate the patterns and practices of the Akron Police Department. The Walker family attorneys will tell us what's next in their fight for justice for Jayland. Leaked audio has surfaced from a county in Oklahoma of 4 county officials complaining about being unable to lynch black people and also how they want to kill journalists. We'll play you the audio and also hear from the mayor of that area, the white Missouri man and the white Kansas City man who shot a black teen in the head for mistakenly being at the wrong house. Finally in custody, but he also posted bond. He is now free. We'll talk with the mother of Ahmaud Arbery about what needs to be done to keep black men safe from being hunted and killed. In tonight's marketplace, a mom who uses faith to help her daughter beat a severe illness is now using her nonprofit organization, Police for Healing, to serve the homeless in Texas. Plus, Fox News admits, they lied on the air. They pay a massive settlement to Dominion Voting Systems. We'll tell you why, folks, let's just stop calling them Fox News. They're a propaganda network. We'll break it all down for you. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
California Senator Dianne Feinstein has been away from the Capitol for the last month because she's been battling shingles. Now, she announced she's not running for re-election. The problem is, because the Senate is so tight, then Democrats are unable to move President Joe Biden's judicial picks through the Judiciary Committee because she's not there. Well, guess what? Senate Republicans have rejected a proposal to replace her on the committee temporarily. The move puts, again, Democrats in a difficult position in order to move these picks. Now, first of all, again, what has been happening is her office is not responding. And again, she hasn't been there because she's been hospitalized. Now, she requested another Democrat be allowed to replace her to advance judges until she can return. But folks like Republican Senators John Cornyn, Tom Tillis, Mitt Romney, and Susan Collins have rejected that particular decision. Cornyn says they oppose the proposal as it would allow Democrats to advance judges on a party line basis. Really? Tillis called the request an unprecedented attempt to please those pushing for radical activist judges. Really? And Romney said Republicans would help Democrats speed up the appointment of liberal judges when the hell freezes over. Democrats need at least 10 Republicans to secure Feinstein's replacement on the committee. However, with critical moderate Republicans rejecting the proposal, it could be difficult for Democrats to advance these judges. Khanna, Congressman from California, has been very vocal, saying it's time for Feinstein to resign. He joins us right now. And here's the thing that we have to keep in mind, Congressman, and I talk about this all the time on the show. Mitch McConnell blocked more than 100 federal judges in the last 2 years of President Barack Obama. That's why those vacancies existed when Trump got into the Oval Office. That means that there were 400 federal judges who could have been appointed by a Democrat, lifelong positions, but they were replaced by Republicans. By Feinstein forcing everyone to wait for her to get well, and she has been slowly moving for the last several years, she literally is holding up a number of critical positions. And so are you suggesting that she has selfish interest over party and national interest by not stepping aside now?
Well, Roland, I don't want to question her motives, but I will just say what the effect of her decision is. And the effect is that every day we wait, we are getting one less judge through the Judiciary Committee. Now, there are 14 judges who have gone through the Judiciary Committee, which we're still waiting for a floor vote on. But I would like to see 30, 40 other of our nominees get through that committee so that when we have floor time, they can all go through. One of the things that President Biden does not get enough credit for is he has prioritized judges more than probably any other recent Democratic president because of the history you pointed out. And he's done an extraordinary job getting quite a large number through. I don't want that to be slowed down. And Senator Feinstein's had a distinguished career. She could step aside. No one would think any less of her. The governor would get to appoint someone, and we could start to do the judges. One other quick point, Roland. We can't subpoena Clarence Thomas or any of the records until we have a senator seated there because it's tight. So the Republicans aren't going to allow for the Judiciary Committee to open up an investigation on Thomas. It's slowing down a lot of things.
So I'm curious here. Let's say she resigns from office. Would Democrats have to wait for the governor's appointment before naming someone to the committee? Or if she resigned, does that free up a position and they can name anybody they want? They don't need Republicans to sign off on anything.
They still need Republicans to sign off on something, but traditionally the Republicans have approved a situation where you have someone resigning and there's a vacancy to be filled. And Senator Thune has said they would do it again this time. He's been on record recently saying that. Now, I'm not excusing the Republicans. I mean, if they were a party acting in good faith, they would honor the Senator Feinstein's request to step aside and do this. That's not the world we live in. What we have from them is a commitment that if she steps aside and the governor appoints someone, that they will do it. Now, some people are saying, oh, Ro, you co-chair Barbara Lee's campaign. Do you have some other motive for this? Let me say this, first of all, I'm very proud of co-chairing Barbara Lee's campaign. We need at least one African-American woman in the Senate. We don't have a single one. Barbara Lee has been the strongest anti-war voice in the history of Congress over the last 25 years. But if someone doesn't think that the race should be affected, the governor can appoint someone else. And he's made a commitment to appoint an African-American woman. There are many qualified African-American women in the state of California. I mean, Maxine Waters, our Secretary of State, there are at least a dozen names. So this is not about interfering with the race.
You've had, obviously, a lot of folks who've been highly critical. Nancy Pelosi, former Speaker of the House, she said that, well, I've never seen anyone trying to push a man out. Actually, a lot of people have been trying to push out, John Fetterman even before he got sworn in. So that actually isn't true. And to your point, again, business is being held up while she's out. That's how tight the margins are.
I respect Speaker Pelosi. I understand that she's known Senator Feinstein for many years, and she wants to come to her defense. That's her right. But there is a real urgency right now, and that urgency is when you have a Texas judge taking the abortion pill away and saying that women don't have the ability to make decisions over their own health, that actually he needs to listen to doctors because women who've taken the abortion pill are too traumatized. And you've got judges who've got junk science And here we have an opportunity to put judges who are going to respect the Constitution, respect equality. That's really what this is about. And look, there were people who said that Stephen Breyer should retire so President Biden could make the appointment. And I have tremendous respect for Justice Breyer, but he did the right thing. So this argument, I don't think it has to do with gender. It has to do with someone's ability to do the job.
Indeed. Congressman Khanna, we surely appreciate you joining us. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Folks, got to go to break. We come back. We'll talk about this here. We also talk about the massive settlement, $787.5 million Fox News will have to pay to Dominion Voting Systems for admitting that they lied on the air with regards to the 2020 election. All of that and more we're discussing right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Those of you who are watching on YouTube, hit that like button, folks. We want to be over 1,000 likes in the next 45 minutes. Also, love for you to hit the like and the share button on Facebook, on the Black Star Network app, all different platforms. And don't forget, support us in what we do. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Also support us in our endeavors. Check in money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. And be sure to get a copy of my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. Available at bookstores nationwide, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Target. And also you can download your copy on Audible. We'll be right back.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol,
we're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
We're all impacted by the culture, whether we know it or not. From politics to music and entertainment, it's a huge part of our lives, and we're going to talk about it every day right here on The Culture with me, Faraji Muhammad, only on the Black Star Network.
Peace and love, everybody. I'm Purple Wonder Love.
Hey, I'm Donnie Simpson.
What's up? I'm Lance Gross, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, my panel today, Jayland Walker, founder of Context Media out of Washington, D.C., Dr. Candace Matthews, statewide vice chair, Texas Coalition of Black Democrats out of Houston, Dr. Jason Nichols, senior lecturer, African American Studies Department, University of Maryland, College Park, Ellicott, Maryland. Glad to have all three of you here. So I'll start with you, Jason. Your thoughts. Should Feinstein resign for the good of the party to advance these judicial nominees?
I think she should. I think what Congressman Khanna was saying was absolutely correct. But I think there's a larger issue here, and that is that some of our octogenarians need to kind of read the tea leaves and leave earlier. I mean, I hate to say this, but RBG should have left while Obama was still president. And then you wouldn't have had the situation with Merrick, the situation moving forward with ACB and the supermajority that they have on the Supreme Court right now. I think that people need to ride off into the sunset, and before they start to reach these points where they have health crises and there's no timeline for them coming back. This is different, I think, even than Mitch McConnell with his fall, because Mitch McConnell's, had a timeline for when he could be back. But right now, we don't know when Senator Feinstein is actually going to be able to perform her duties, which leaves everything in limbo. And I don't think the Republicans really have any incentive or reason to actually take her replacement onto the committee, which again leaves everything in limbo. And it's a tough situation. It puts the power back in the Republicans' hands. And, this could be avoided if some of our older Congress people and senators recognize, hey, I've had a great career. I'm 85. Dianne Feinstein.
No. She's 89.
Yeah,
she's been a U.S. Senator for 31 years. It's time to go.
Yeah, you've had a great career. But, I mean...
Hold up. First, hold on. Let's be clear. That's a U.S. Senator. She also was... she was the mayor of San Francisco. She was the president of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors. She was first elected in 1970. Yeah, it's time to go.
Yeah, no, that's 100% what I'm saying is like we would have been in a different situation as much respect as I have for Ruth Bader Ginsburg. But there would have been a different situation had she retired a few years earlier. I think it's okay. I mean, I don't want to say anything, too much because I understand that, our current president is in his 80s and he's going to run again. But really, some of these people need to recognize, including the people who are defending her, who are themselves octogenarians, like Nancy Pelosi, it's okay to step aside. It's okay. And it's a safe state in California. She will be replaced by another Democrat. Well, had a great career. You can still advocate outside of government.
Here's the thing here, Candace, that for me is just very basic and fundamental. And that is, if you're in the way, if your presence or lack thereof is a hindrance to the agenda of your party, then you need to go. And yes, she's 89 years old. And she's been, even people who've worked in her office have talked about for the last decade, it has not been smooth sailing. And yes, Ruth Bader Ginsburg was arrogant in that she wanted a female president to replace her. She assumed Hillary Clinton was going to win. She didn't. And as a result of her selfish decision, what you now have is Amy Coney Barrett, who could very well be sitting in that position for the next 40 to 50 years, because Ginsburg died at 87 because she chose to be selfish and not retire 2 years earlier or 3 years earlier. That's what she should have done. She should have retired when Democrats had the majority, because guess what? Anthony Kennedy orchestrated his retirement because there was a Republican in the White House and Republicans control the Senate.
But you know what, Roland? This is the issue that we're having with Democrats in general, because you have a lot of these officials that just want to die in these positions and not having a successor who can actually continue the agenda. We have that problem here in Texas right now. We have state reps that refuse to resign, that's been in office since 1960, I don't know what. And then when it's time for you to die, then you didn't push the party back 10 more years. You could have been training and a successor for that specific time. So in my opinion, she need to go ahead and retire. Let's go ahead and get an African-American woman to replace her, and let's move on with the people's business.
Toron, here's what I find to be interesting. Corporate boards have a retirement age. You hit a certain age, you got to go. There are other corporations that have automatic retirement age for their CEOs, for other positions. I don't see what the big deal is. And again, she's been gone a month. It's time for Feinstein to go.
You know, as much as Democratic politicians go to black churches for votes, there's a verse that they seem to keep overlooking that they never listen to, and it's called, "Well done, good and faithful servant." What that means is you've done the work you're supposed to do, maybe 30, maybe sometimes 40 years ago, and it's time for you to sit down, sit in your rocking chair and talk about the past and be a mentor and an elder. You don't need to be actively working. But you're absolutely right. Every other entity, whether it's business, whether it's nonprofits or anything, once you get to a certain age, you move out of the way and you open the door for somebody else to come in. And unfortunately, and I've talked about this a lot, the Republican Party and the right wing is very, very good at grooming new blood to come and take somebody else's place in the legislature or in Congress or the Senate when someone old or an elder statesman in the Republican Party leaves. The Democrats do not do that. They sit there and they sit like the church lady or the first lady in the church, and they sit there until they're 98 years old, and you have to be wheeled into the office, and then you have to be carried out by 6. And that's not how you move progress. And it also hinders progress that moves along with the times that you're working in, because if you have somebody who's 20, 25, young, full of fire, full of energy, who wants to move into office and they can't move because you're 95 years old and you're still in the seat, what does that do for the party, and what does that do for the progressive ideals you say you claim to stand on? It doesn't work. It's time to stop it.
Yeah, folks, you got to know when it's time to move on, and see, she clearly is not. All right, got to go to break. We come back. Fox News, $787.5 million that fake news network now has to pay to Dominion Voting Systems. And they also had to admit, yeah, Dominion was right about a lot of our lies. Nah, they were right about all y'all lying. We'll break it down exactly what happened in that case. A lot of other news we'll be covering as well. We'll be right back on Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network.
I lost my daughter. I didn't know where she was. So I had to figure out how to survive, how to eat, how to live. I don't want to go into the details because she's here, first of all. She may not want me telling that story. But possession of her, the family broke down, fell apart. I was homeless. I had to figure out, I didn't have a manager or an agent or anybody anymore, and I'm the talent. So I got to figure out how to be the agent. I had to figure out, how does business work?
On the next A Balanced Life with me, Dr. Jackie. It's spring, hallelujah. But hold on, it's not all fun and games. With the sun and the warmth comes the need to clean, the clutter, mentally, physically, emotionally, socially. All of those things need to happen. Getting rid of the clutter and clearing the cobwebs in our head and in our home. That's next on A Balanced Life on Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Gavin Houston.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your boy Jacob Lattimore, and you're now watching Roland Martin right now.
All right, folks, welcome back to Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network. An Ohio family wonders if they'll ever get justice after an Akron grand jury declined to charge 8 officers who fatally shot Jayland Walker. Folks, the 3-man and 6-woman grand jury, including 2 black panelists, returned a no bill against those officers. Their decision says they believe the officers were legally justified in using lethal force against Jayland during the June 27, 2022 incident. Cops tried to pull Walker over for an alleged traffic violation, a darkened license plate light. The 8 police officers fired 94 shots at Walker in 6.7 seconds. Police claimed Walker fired a shot in their direction from his car during the chase. Community activist Ray Green, the executive director of the Freedom Bloc, issued a stern warning to Akron city officials after yesterday's decision.
Period. There wouldn't be no justice in Akron, no peace in Akron, Ohio. There would be no peace in Summit County. There would be no peace in the state of Ohio. There would be no peace in America until black men are able to walk down the street without being gunned down. Until black men are able to wake up and walk outside without the fear of being murdered by state-sanctioned violence. We will not rest. I am not here to condone violence, but I am saying that you have a right to be righteously indignant from these results today. Anger is an emotion that is felt when a wrong is done to you. And this wrong is done to us too many times. To the city of Akron, board up everything that you want to do, but we are coming. To my friends, to my brothers, to black men, we need you. To the gang members in the city of Akron, we need you. There is one clear and present enemy in this city, in this county, in this state, and in this country, and their name is Jim and Jane Crow, and we will not rest until we put them to bed. I'm not here to condone violence, but I am here to say that we will take back our community by any means necessary. It is up to us. We can no longer wait on an administration. We can no longer wait on the police department that is trained to shoot a person 100 times until they no longer have life in their body. We will not rest.
Congressman Emilia Strong Sykes says she's formally requesting the Department of Justice begin an investigation into the patterns and practices of the Akron Police Department. The Walker family attorneys, Bobby DiCello and Elizabeth Page White, join us now from Cleveland. Glad to have both of you here. So grand jury's made that decision. So therefore, what is actually next? Is it hopefully the DOJ comes in? Is it a civil lawsuit? What's next for the Jayland Walker family?
Well, what's next is what we can control, Roland. We're going to make sure that we have that lawsuit filed before the one-year anniversary of Jalen's death, and we're going to make sure that the search for justice continues in the courts.
Yesterday, when we heard the Attorney General lay out what happened, he said that Jayland fired his weapon from the car as a part of the chase, and that was enough to give police the leeway to say that their lives were in danger, so therefore they needed to use lethal force. How do you respond to that?
Well, the key word in this entire conversation, we've talked about this, is the word "at." There's no, what you hear the officer say is the door is open, they heard a shot, there was a shot out the door. Jayland, when he is found later, the gun is completely taken apart. The bullets are out. They're sitting on the seat. The bullets aren't even in the clip. There's no evidence that Jayland shot at an officer. And the key piece to remember is the Highland Park shooter killed people in a park and then fled in his car. And so I ask you, could they have used an M1 tank and just blown his car up as he drove away, figuring, well, he's going to drive into someone's neighborhood and then he's going to destroy it? He's got to, because that's who he is. That's exactly the metaphor that applies here. Because in this particular example, Jayland leaves, and he leaves on foot with nothing in his hands. He doesn't even have his ring on. He takes it all off. He's afraid. He flees, and he dies.
Elizabeth, we discussed this yesterday on my show, and I'm still trying to understand how a traffic stop leads to someone dying. We've covered so many of these stories, and this was a basic traffic stop. So it was a broken light, or was it not having a light? Why was he even stopped?
Roland, and that the fact that we're still asking that question is a problem. The fact that you have walked away from the grand jury's decision, from the attorney general explaining what happened, and we still have those questions shows exactly what we need to know. And I said this yesterday. How does a traffic stop get here? It gets here because Jayland Walker is a Black man, and that he is Black, and we've seen this time and time again. That Black people in America are deemed dangerous just by their simple movements, walking, running, driving a car, going up to a door. There's very little that we can do in America without the consequence of the death penalty.
There were, when we would think about, again, this situation, and to put it in context for people, I mean, we're talking about him being, shot 90. So was 94 shots fired? Was he hit a number of times? Can you break that down for us?
He was. There were 96 shots unleashed. 46 hit his body.
46 hit his body. So we received, apparently, or the photos have been actually released. Guys, don't show it yet. So I just want to warn anybody who's watching our show. I'm going to show that. And the reason I'm doing that, and if anybody who's watching understand, I've made this point before, that when people say we shouldn't show images, we shouldn't show videos, if Mamie Till Mobley did not do that, then we would not be talking about the Emmett Till case today. People need to understand and see reality, the end result of the actions here. Again, the 96 shots fired in less than 7 seconds. Now, folks, so if anyone wants to turn away, you can do so. But this is the aftermath of this shooting. This is what the family had to deal with, Bobby and Elizabeth. And it is obviously graphic in nature. So we go from a license plate to a chase to 8 cops and 94 shots. Any changes from this police department where they say things may change from the police chief? Has anything been stated? Or is it just, hey, no bill, we move on?
Well, at this point, they've made statements about wanting to initiate changes. We know that. We know that they've said things. They've said a lot of things. Here's something they've never said publicly, that we're sorry. They've never said the word sorry, Roland. When the grand jury indictment came back the way it did, they never called and said, hey, we've got bad news. There's been zero reach out. And I want to make something perfectly clear. There is a need in this community to heal and to talk. But, Paige reminds me all the time that we have to focus on what has happened to Jayland. And we have to deal with it. We have to deal with those images. We have to deal with the experience of African Americans and the police system, the police state. It's a different experience. And I don't think the current leadership of the city has the ability or the desire to make those changes.
Elizabeth, final comment.
What you said, Roland, was spot on. People need to see what happened to Jayland, and they need to feel what this family has felt, which is complete and utter devastation. And we are committed to change and to getting change, not only in Akron, but in this country.
Bobby, Elizabeth, certainly give our thoughts and prayers to the family as they deal with the aftermath of this, and certainly keep us abreast of what happens next in this case.
We will do so. Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much. Tarun, I want to go to you. Again, as we discussed yesterday, this is the thing that just keeps bothering me, how we go from basic traffic stops to death. And this is why a lot of police chiefs, some police chiefs, they've actually given orders. Stop the basic traffic stops. Let's actually, if you're going to be a police officer, let's focus on major crime, not a light on a license plate or a tag hanging down or something basic like that.
I'm going to say what I've said on the show several times, and I'm also going to say what I've told people outside of this. There is nothing you can do. There's no rule you can pass. There's no legislation you can put in place. There's no police conduct rule you can set up that is going to make people who see black skin as a weapon stop seeing it that way. That's never going to stop in this country because it's always been seen that way. The only way you can change that is to completely overhaul policing in the United States of America. That's the only way that's going to happen. When you have people who have the power of life and death over certain individuals and they use that power only for certain individuals, situations like what happened with Jayland Walker, situations that you saw across the country, situations that we saw the rest of the world rise up and protest in the wake of George Floyd are going to happen again and again and again. It's almost like the black version of what happens with gun violence in white communities. If people are not concerned about gun violence in their communities when their children are getting killed, they definitely are not going to be concerned about what happens to black male bodies when police and law enforcement are taking their lives away from them and their loved ones. As far as legislatively, it's not going to stop until you completely overhaul policing in this country. You may have to completely dismantle it and rebuild it from the ground up.
Jason.
Yeah, I agree 100%. There needs to be a major change to stop some of these killings of people who are unarmed, who are actually running away, who are trying to get away. There's always been a rule that you don't shoot people when they're trying to escape. That in other countries, if we were in a conflict, we would call that a war crime. But yet it happens on our own streets with our own police who are supposed to serve and protect us. So there need to be major changes. And the only thing that I'll add to my good brother statement is that it happens to black men and it happens to black women and girls. We've seen it with, of course, when we heard about what happened to Ralph Yarl, it reminded everybody of Renisha McBride. We've seen it, of course, that wasn't the police, but we've seen black bodies and black lives being devalued. We've seen people like Rekia Boyd, who got shot in the back of the head by a police officer. We've seen it with black women and black men. So certainly a change needs to happen, and the fundamental thing is that we need to value black lives, and that's gonna supersede any kind of piece of legislation that we could put out there and police reform that we can put out there. People thought it was gonna be body cameras, and I always reminded people that, you know, we saw what happened in video in LA in 1992 with Rodney King. It wasn't that we didn't see it. We all saw it, and that didn't make the change. It's got to come down to, of course, some policy, but there also needs to be a fundamental shift in how we value black people and black lives.
Candace?
I am completely tired. I am completely tired of seeing this because, one, I am a civil rights and human rights activist, and we deal with this on a daily. What this is our skin is our sin. This is what this looks like. And then just based upon the Klan jury, I'm not going to say grand jury, the Klan jury, for them to actually make this decision. We clearly seen that this was an overkill. Those officers need to be in jail. This is unacceptable, and it needs to be addressed. Now, I understand we got to have legislation. I understand that we have to have things in place, but when is it going to end? When is it going to stop? Because I'm on the front line, and I see this on a daily basis, and this is unacceptable, and I am tired of our skin being our sin.
Folks, hold tight 1 second. Got to go to a break. When we come back, we'll talk Fox News having to pay $787.5 million for Dominion voting systems. Also, in Oklahoma, White County executives busted for making disparaging comments about blacks. Also saying they would love to hire hitmen to kill reporters, bring back lynching for black folks. We'll be discussing that right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Back in a moment.
With me, Greg Carr. We look at the history of emancipation around the world, including right here in the United States, the so-called end of slavery. Trust me, it's a history lesson that bears no resemblance to what you learned in school. Professor Chris Manjapra, author, scholar, amazing teacher, joins us to talk about his latest book, Black Ghost of Empire, The Death of Slavery and the Failure of Emancipation. He explains why the end of slavery was no end at all, but instead a collection of laws and policies designed to preserve the status quo of racial oppression.
The real problem is that the problems that slavery invented have continued over time. And what reparations are really about is saying, how do we really transform society, right? And stop racial violence, which is so endemic.
What we need to do about it on the next installment of The Black Table, right here on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Hi, my name is LaToya Luckett.
Yo, it's your man Deion Cole from Blackish, and you're watching
Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Stay woke.
787.5 million. That's what Fox Not News is going to have to pay Dominion Voting Systems for lying about the 2020 election. The trial was supposed to begin today. A jury was selected. 9 people of color out of the 12 were on that jury. Fox probably saw those people of color, said, oh, ain't no way in hell we going to even stand a chance winning this. And they immediately went into settlement talks. Dominion Voting Systems announced this decision. Their CEO, they talked about how their brand was significantly hurt by the massive lies of Fox News, allowed by Rupert Murdoch, allowed by CEO Suzanne Scott. The lies of Lou Dobbs, Maria Bartiromo, Janine Pirro, Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, Laura Ingraham, Lou Dobbs, and on and on and on.
Fox and Dominion have reached an historic settlement. Fox has admitted to telling lies about Dominion that caused enormous damage to my company, our employees, and the customers that we serve. Nothing can ever make up for that. Throughout this process, we have sought accountability and believe the evidence brought to light through this case underscores the consequences of spreading lies. Truthful reporting in the media is essential to our democracy. Dominion, our employees, our people, our partners are grateful to the court for allowing us the process for the truth to come out.
Now, if y'all really want a good laugh, the trash folks at Fox Fake News, they actually put out a statement that is truly one of the most laughable things you can ever imagine them putting out. Now, first of all, what I got a problem with, they're not going to have to speak to this issue on the air. There's no way in hell if I'm Dominion, I settle this to where they don't have to actually read an apology on the air. But check this out, folks. Wait a minute, hold on. Let me see if I can find the Fox, because it really is laughable, this statement that they put out. Oh, let's see here. Do I have it right here? Okay, let me get rid of, if I can get rid of this here, because I'm still just like cracking up laughing right here, y'all. Okay, so this is what, listen. We are pleased to have reached a settlement of our dispute with Dominion voting systems. We acknowledge the court's rulings finding certain claims about Dominion to be false. That's their way of saying we lied our asses off on the air. This is the one that I think is most hilarious. This settlement reflects Fox's continued commitment to the highest journalistic standards. Your asses just had to pay $787.5 million for straight lying. And y'all actually put in a statement that Fox has a continued commitment to the highest journalistic standards. Y'all ain't got no damn journalistic standards. Not high, not medium, not low. Y'all ain't got no standards. No, I love this one here. We are hopeful that our decision to resolve this dispute with Dominion amicably, instead of the acrimony of a divisive trial, allows the country to move forward from these issues. Am I wrong, Jason? Didn't Tucker Carlson lying ass just have Donald Trump on his show the other day and he kept lying? This whole network is trash. Rupert Murdoch allowed lies to be told. CEO Suzanne Scott allowed lies to be told. Dominion uncovered evidence where she said, tell the fact checkers they're hurting our business. They were afraid these crazy, deranged white conservatives were going to flee Fox for Newsmax and One American News. None of these people have any morals, values, ethics, or principles, and they damn sure, Jason, ain't got no journalistic standards. It's a propaganda network.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I have to give you some props, Roland, because, of course, I'm not against opinion shows, but there's a difference between looking at the news, looking at the facts, and formulating an opinion, or outright lying. Those are two very different things. And I've seen what happens when you let the audience dictate the news instead of just telling the news as it is and maybe having some opinion shows where people formulate their opinions. And I'll give you props because I've seen you go against your audience sometimes because you have a firmly held belief that is based on the facts that may not go along with your audience. You don't kowtow to anybody's beliefs just because you want a bigger audience or you're scared that your audience might abandon you for somebody else or anything like that. And I think that's what you need in opinion journalism. If you're going to have an opinion show, formulate your opinion based on the facts. And the linchpin in this whole thing was the fact that in private communication, all those hosts were saying, yeah, we know this is a lie. We know this is BS. We know this isn't real. We know Trump lost. They all said it, but they went on air and said something different because they wanted to placate their audience that was going towards Newsmax. And to me, that shows not only a lack of, journalistic ethics, it's a lack of just general integrity. Like, you have to have some integrity when you do this work to say, look, this is what the facts are. And
they have none. And you're right. I don't give a damn what the audience wants to believe. I make it perfectly clear. If somebody lies on this show, I am stopping you mid-sentence and not allowing the lie to continue. I don't give a damn who it is. I don't care. I don't care. If a Democrat lies, Republican lies, it doesn't matter. You're not going to just lie. And what Fox Not News did, they did not want, they literally said, oh my God, this is upsetting to our audience. And you had wimps. Brett Baer, wimp. Other producers there, wimps. Hey, how about this is causing us so much pain that we call the election for Arizona. Can we pull it off the board? Because this is just so tough. No, suck it up. Be a man, be a woman. The whole network is trash.
They fired the guy who called the election.
No, you had individuals who, Tucker Carlson saying, oh my God, Sidney Powell, batshit crazy, and same thing about Rudy Giuliani, but they went right on the air and backed those lies up. These people, they have no credibility, none of them. Fox was sued before, and the lawyers said Tucker Carlson knowingly lies. There's a video where Tucker says, yeah, when I get backed into a corner, I start lying. And here's the deal. That audience doesn't care. They believe the lies. You got Carrie Lake, dumbass, still running around talking about how she's the governor of Arizona. No, boo, you lost. These people are crazy and deranged. Got to go to break. We come back. We're going to talk with our panel about this, but also Media Matters. I'm telling y'all, I don't watch that trash. I don't watch that trash. And if y'all want to understand why Fox is scared to book me, they all are scared to book me. Because they don't want somebody smacking them in their face, busting their lies. Sort of like when I smacked Chris Christie's ass on ABC News about his Trump lies. Yeah, they can't handle this heat. They can't handle it because they're too soft. They're weak. They're impotent. All of their hosts. They're weak because they have no problem lying to the public. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
We're all impacted by the culture, whether we know it or not. From politics to music and entertainment, it's a huge part of our lives, and we're going to talk about it every day right here on The Culture with me, Faraji Muhammad, only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, this is Essence Atkins.
Hey, I'm Dianne Cole from Blackish.
Hey everybody, this is your man Fred Hammond, and you're watching Roland Martin, my man, Unfiltered.
All right, folks, welcome back to Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Craig Harrington is the research director for Media Matters. For years, they have covered the massive lies that have emanated from Fox, not news. Craig, glad to have you here. Bottom line is this here, Craig. I'm serious. The White House should say, sorry, up and out of that seat. You're not a real news network. You're not.
You know, that's an interesting idea, and thank you for having me again. It's great to be back on, particularly on a day like today. You know, you may remember in 2009, the White House didn't go so far as you're recommending, but in 2009, the White House was very conspicuously sort of freezing out Fox News. And what was said then by the communication staff, and I think even it made it all the way to President Obama, was that Fox wasn't operating like a normal news organization, and they weren't owed to be called on in the White House press office. They weren't owed question time on air during the press in the Brady press briefing room. And there was actually somewhat of a mutiny, an insurrection that was led by mainstream outlets who were fighting to defend Fox News, fighting to defend the integrity of Fox News. People who are still primetime mainstay hosts of major mainstream outlets were defending and fighting for Fox News in 2009. And the fascinating thing is that those people are not doing that today. Even, in fact, if you were just watching as the news broke around 4 p.m. today about Fox reaching the $787 million settlement to close their defamation lawsuit out of court with Dominion Voting Systems, you saw on CNN, you saw on MSNBC, you saw if you were watching the live feeds of other broadcast networks on their online platforms, no one was fighting for Fox News. No one was defending the supposed news integrity of Fox News. That is a seismic, paradigmatic change that we've seen in the past decade. And Fox News has done it to themselves. They destroyed their own integrity and their own credibility over and over and over again. They're no longer seen as a news organization. And, you know, the lie is right there in the name. No one else puts news front and center because the news is the proof. Fox has to lie to you at the outset and claim to be news, because if you were watching it arriving from another country or from a foreign planet, you wouldn't think that this is news. You think it's something else, entertainment. You'd think it was reality television, but you wouldn't think that this is journalism.
And what I need people to understand, when you give them cover, when they have the cover, oh, no, you got Peter Ducey. Oh, no, he's asking questions. Oh, Brett Baer, no, he's the news guy at Fox. We now have the emails and the text messages where he was, oh, this is just causing us so much pain. Can we sort of undo this here? None of these people have any credibility whatsoever. The White House should not treat them as a real news organization. They should not have a front row seat in the White House briefing room. They should be banished to the back because they have no credibility whatsoever. And when you have the CEO of the network, when you have the owner of the company, when they knowingly allow lies to be told, this thing is much bigger than Dominion being impacted with their brand name. These people had no problem. As the #1 cable/news network, but also one of the top 5 cable networks, period, when ratings, they are also at the epicenter of the right-wing media coalition. They are the leaders of it. They are the absolute communications arm of the Republican National Committee and the Republican Party. And so these people, they said, yes, we will accept lying in order to keep the audience still watching. That, to me, is shameful and despicable.
Yeah, and it's not just lying, right? It's not just that Fox doesn't tell the truth to their audience or that they have a partisan slant. It's right. This isn't a comb over we're talking about. This was the organization, the political organization that helped foment an insurrection against the United States government. And while I think that this defamation settlement is potentially disastrous for Fox News, it sets up many precedents that they don't want to deal with in the future for other pending defamation suits and other claims from people who they may have damaged through their irresponsible news coverage. But unfortunately, what we sort of saw today is that the cost of fomenting an insurrection and failing is only $800 million. And if you're a multi-billionaire like Rupert Murdoch, if you're a multi-billion-dollar multinational company like Fox News, you can afford that because in exchange, they very nearly toppled the United States government. And there would have been no penalty for that. So it kind of feels a little bit like what we saw during the aftermath of the Great Recession, when we saw these financial companies, these finance institutions and banking institutions who undermined the entire global economy, and they were paying multi-billion-dollar settlements to the Department of Justice, big settlements, record-breaking, historic settlements. But it was nowhere near the amount of money that they made undermining the economy over decades. And somewhat that's how it feels with this settlement from Fox News. This is a very bad day for Fox News. This is one of the worst days in Fox News' history. But there is a sense that they kind of got away with the worst thing that they did, which was undermining the integrity of the elections. In their statement that they made after the Dominion settlement was reached, they specifically didn't actually acknowledge the lies that they told. They just said that the court had acknowledged that these statements were false, and they agreed with the court's assessment. They didn't apologize for undermining democracy and fomenting an insurrection on behalf of Donald Trump. And they'll never apologize for that. And in part, Fox and the right-wing media echo chamber might be somewhat emboldened by this. Our president and CEO, Angelo Carusone, actually commented on a Twitter thread about this in the immediate aftermath of the settlement. He said that Fox kind of might have a license to kill now, right? Like they know what the cost of this is. Yep. And it's several years of lawsuits and an $800 million settlement. But like, if they had destroyed the American democracy and kept Donald Trump in power, was it worth $800 million? You bet. You bet.
Well, and again, they did not acknowledge that they actually lied. So you're absolutely right.
Exactly.
Craig Harrington, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
This is the largest media settlement in history, Candace. And look, they're going to keep on lying. I would not be shocked in prime time tonight. Smug-ass Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, and Laura Ingraham are going to be like, whatever. We don't really give a damn. We're just going to keep lying to y'all because you know what? You don't know the difference because you're stupid. And really, their audience is stupid.
Roland, let me tell you this. My grandma used to always say this, because I'm Creole, my people out of Louisiana. What come out in the wash is going to always come out in the rinse. And baby, Fox News has continuously lied all day long. And see, this needs to be an example for other journalists as well as other bloggers. You're going to keep playing and you're going to get the Cardi B special. Okay? So for Dominion, you get the yes fan for me, baby. Get your checks. Get your money. Because they full of it and they lied.
Torun, look, their viewers, they don't care. They don't care. They're perfectly fine with the lies.
This dangerous. People who are fans of Fox News, people who get their information from Fox News, they are able to spin this in their minds as a victory because they feel like because they were not taken out of business and because they have enough money to pay these fines, like your previous guest said, they can still pump this disinformation out and they're still okay. And it also sets them up to be seen as sort of like the alternative to mainstream media that's being attacked the same way that a lot of people who are fans of Alex Jones felt about him. That's the danger of it. But here's the real danger. This disinformation and these false narratives embolden people to commit violence. And we've seen this happen over the past 4 years, all the way up to January 6th, where people were getting this information that the government was being taken over. Their birthright, so to speak, was being taken from them, and they needed to act on this or it would be taken away completely. These sort of things and this sort of propaganda foments violence. And we've seen this not just in the United States. We saw it in Germany in the 1930s. We saw it in Italy in the 1920s. It's a time-honored tactic to get control of the media and create an enemy and create a boogeyman for your fan base or for your power base to go to attack. So I'm glad this happened. I'm just concerned about what will this really do with the diehard fans and the diehard supporters of Fox News.
The thing that we have to recognize here, Jason, again, this network, they have no problem lying. I mean, the fact that they would say stuff privately that we now know because Dominion got their text messages and emails. They were saying things privately that were 180 degrees totally different than what was happening publicly, and they didn't care. They didn't care at all.
Yeah, the interesting thing is they got sued by Dominion. Had it been some other company, had it been Media Matters or some other company, they would not have been able to keep up with Fox News. And Fox News would have, dragged this on for as long as possible and basically out-lawyered them and made somebody go broke. It just so happens that they were being sued by another big, strong company that was able to challenge them all the way to court. And, Fox News didn't want to go to court. They also were getting a whole lot of bad press from this whole thing. All those other networks were reveling in the fact that Fox News was in turmoil. And, $800 million is $800 million. That's quite a bit of money. But I can't tell you how much money Fox News has. I've seen
their profit is $1.5 billion a year.
Yeah, they make a lot of money.
$1.5 billion.
I've seen, even the low-level contributors there make decent money. You'd be shocked. People that you barely ever see are getting six-figure salaries. So they're going to be able to pay this. They're going to move forward, and they're doing, like your guest said, a cost-benefit analysis. And they're going to recognize, to keep our audience, yeah, we'll keep lying to them if that's what they want to hear. And I think the Fox News audience, I'm not going to say they're stupid, but what I will say is they're almost like someone who's being cheated on, but you tell them, oh, my cousin was sick and I went over there and I saved a cat out of a burning building. And they're like, oh, okay. Oh, that's what it was. That's why you came home with lipstick on your collar. You know what I mean? Like, they want to hear certain things, even if they know it's not true. It's just that they desire to hear it. And I think that's what you're getting from their audience. They don't want to hear Roland Martin go on there or Jason Nichols go on there, because I don't go on there anymore either. But they don't want us to go on there and disrupt the narrative. They want to hear an echo chamber of the same kind of stuff over and over and over again. It makes them angry. That's why I used to get death threats, because they don't like it when someone comes in and actually breaks up the narrative with actual truth.
I'm going to call them stupid. Because when you knowingly just accept lies from these fools, and when you listen to some of the insane stuff that comes out of Laura Ingram's mouth and Sean Hannity's mouth and Tucker Carlson's mouth, the fact that Tucker Carlson could trash Donald Trump privately and still do an interview with him the other day and them dumbasses watch, yeah, they're stupid. But that's what they are. All right, folks, got to go to a break. We come back. We'll talk about this case out of Oklahoma where these county officials were caught on audio talking about hiring hitmen to kill journalists, wishing they could lynch black people. We'll talk with the mayor of that particular town next. We'll also talk with the mother of Ahmaud Arbery about the shooting of Ralph Yarl, the young man out of Kansas City. We'll tell you the latest with regards to the man who was arrested for shooting him. And we'll also have our marketplace segment. So lots more to cover right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. YouTube for y'all. Why are we still hitting under 1,000 likes? Hit the doggone like button. Y'all comment left and right. Hit the like button, okay? Why do I got to keep asking for this? All right. Also, download the app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Also, join our Bring the Funk fan club. Your dollars make it possible for us to do what we do. Check in money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered. PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back.
Lost my daughter. I didn't know where she was. So I had to figure out how to survive, how to eat, how to live. I don't want to go into the details because she's here, first of all. She may not want me telling that story. But possession of her, the family broke down, fell apart. I was homeless. I had to figure out, I didn't have a manager or an agent or anybody anymore, and I'm the talent. So I got to figure out how to be the agent. I had to figure out, how does business work?
On a next, A Balanced Life with me, Dr. Jackie. It's spring, hallelujah. But hold on, it's not all fun and games. With the sun and the warmth comes the need to clean, the clutter, mentally, physically, emotionally, socially. All of those things need to happen. Getting rid of the clutter and clearing the cobwebs in our head and in our home. That's next on A Balanced Life on Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm BB Winans.
Hi, I'm Kim Burrell.
Hi, I'm Carl Payne.
Hey, everybody, this is Sherry Shepherd. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered, and while he's doing Unfiltered, I'm practicing the wobble.
Leaked audio has surfaced from McCurtain County, Oklahoma, of county officials there complaining about being unable to lynch black people and killing black journalists. The McCurtain Gazette-News published the full written transcript and partial audio recorded following a Board of Commissioners meeting on March 6th of this year. Now, the publisher there was afraid that county commissioners were meeting privately and breaking the law. Well, this is McCurtain County Sheriff Kevin Clardy, District 2 Commissioner Mark Jennings, Sheriff's Investigator Alicia Manning, and Jail Administrator Larry Hendricks. It features officials making remarks, disparaging remarks about black people. Listen.
Got all the body parts and stuff like that, and Kyla was out there too.
All the body part? Oh, she come apart?
Yeah, just the burnt bodies.
No, I know. I picked up on
and
they really fall apart when they're burnt?
Yeah.
Have you ever had barbecue?
That's another.
Yeah.
Same.
I'm hungry.
Kyla looks at the face.
Glasses off.
They got to wrap the tin full and put her in the body bag. Kyla goes, "You do know what we got to do now, right?" And Face goes, "No, what?" She goes, "You got to preheat the oven 350 degrees, leave her in there for 15 minutes." And she went, bless her. It was, and then the medical examiner asked her, he said, "Hey, we're just going to eat." And he looks at Face, he goes, "You going to go with me and go eat barbecue?"
Realized, like your job, I heard the other day, said, I heard 10 or 12 people going to the sheriff. I said, fuck, let's get 20. They don't have a goddamn clue what they're getting into.
Oh, yeah.
Not this day and age.
But everybody.
I'm going to tell you something. If it was back in the day, when Alan Marshall take a damn blackjack, whoop their ass and throw them in the cell, I'd run for fucking sheriff.
Yeah. Well, it's not like that no more.
I know. We'll take them down here on Mud Creek and hang them up with the damn rope.
Yeah.
But you can't do
the
that.
Thing about it is,
they got more rights than we got.
What they really don't know is they.
And that's the thing about it. 20 years ago, I would have done something like that. I mean, 20 years ago, I wasn't in a political position. You know?
They're insignificant in my life.
Yes.
Really. They bring
the old saying is, you know,
what goes around goes around.
It will. I told you it will.
Yeah.
I know where two big deep holes are if you ever need them.
I got an excavator.
These are already pre-dug. Yeah, but the thing of it is, you know.
We actually told the truth.
I've known 2 or 3 hitmen that were very quiet guys.
Yeah.
And would cut no fucking mercy.
Yeah.
In Louisiana, because it was all mafia around Louisiana.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but here's the reality: if a hair on his wife's head, Chris Willingham's head, or any of those people that really were behind all that, if the hair on their head got touched by anybody, who would be the bad guys?
Who'd you blame for?
Yeah.
Now, folks, the McCurtain County Sheriff's Office, they're investigating the newspaper that published the audio for illegally recording the conversation. Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt is calling for the resignation of all 4 of McCurtain County officials and wants the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation to authenticate the audio recording. The newspaper maintains the audio was not altered. Joining us now is Craig Young. He is the mayor of Ida Bell, Oklahoma. Mayor Bell, glad to have you there. So, Mayor, first off, so your city is located in this particular county, correct?
Yes, we are. My city is the county seat of the county.
And so when you found out about this recording, just what was your reaction?
Terrible, heartbreaking, just terrible.
Do you personally know any of these officials?
I know all of them. I work close with them, yes.
And have you had any conversations with them since this recording became public?
I talked to the County Commissioner, Mark Jennings. I've had a conversation with the Sheriff, Kevin Clarity.
And what do they say?
Well, my conversation was very short with Kevin, the sheriff. I told him I would give him, he reached out to me, texted me and asked me would I call him, and I called him. And I said, so Kevin, what's on your mind? I'll give you 3 minutes of my time. Let me first start off saying, Kevin, there's no place for this kind of action. This is terrible. And I'm going to say to you right now, Kevin, you should resign. You should resign and step back.
And his response?
And the recording was illegal. I say, it don't make any difference, Kevin. It's what was said. Whether it's legal or not legal, you should resign. Kevin, thanks for your time, and I'm done talking.
The county is 59.6% white, 7.7% black, 6.7% Native Hawaiian and other Pacific Islander. And residents there have been appalled since this recording was made public.
Yes. Yes.
Do you believe that they're going to resign?
I mean, they've had, the recording was released on Friday by the local Gazette. This is day, so we almost, this is day 5 or 6, and they haven't. So it's so disheartening. I thought on Monday morning they should have resigned. I mean, I thought they should have resigned. Once it hit the paper, it should have been, with social media and everything else, it should have been out there at the end of the day was done. So at this time, I'm sad that they hadn't, disappointed, because they hadn't, I should say, that they hadn't resigned.
And of course, you have, the governor says it's time for them to go.
The governor has asked for their resignation. And, I've asked for their resignation by phone, but I've also asked for it in the public.
Do you believe that as days go on, that residents will continue to protest and assist? When is the next public commissioners meeting?
On Monday morning at 9 a.m. Yes, that at this point I'm probably, I'm a little afraid that this thing is getting out of hand. It could get out of hand because they haven't resigned.
All right, Mayor Craig Young, Idabel, Oklahoma. We certainly appreciate you joining us. Thank you so very much.
Thank you guys for having me, and pray for Idabel, my county. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Torun, it's again, there's this, we got that sign over there, that piece of artwork over there, which features Ida B. Wells Barnett, where she talked about truth and things done in the dark, coming to light. And, she says the way to right the wrongs is for the truth to be, to show the light of truth upon them. And then that's what this is. And so they're sitting here trying to stick to, it was illegal recording. Yeah, but as the mayor said, you said it.
You know what it reminds me of? You know that scene in Django Unchained where the Klan goes over the hill and they put those hoods on, and one of them has the guy's wife made him, they only had one eye.
Right.
And he spent like 5 minutes trying to figure out how to put a hood on. On the one hand, that's what they sound like. On the other hand, that rhetoric is really terrifying, because if you listen to what they're saying, they're talking about the history of mass murder and murders of black people who, in their minds, got uppity. We heard somebody talking about dropping somebody down a mine shaft. We heard somebody talking about taking them out into a field and taking care of it like they could 20 years ago. That sort of thing is really real. And I think what really has to happen, what I would like to see happen, outside of the local consequences, I would love to see the Justice Department really investigate the county and find out what sort of cold cases and missing persons of black people they have out in that land, because we all know that sort of thing has happened throughout this system. The other thing is this. Sometimes I prefer somebody to be honest about who they are than to pat you on the back and pretend to be your friend and not have these biases. So on the one hand, I'm kind of a big fan of Malcolm's wolf and the fox analogy. Sometimes it's better to deal with the wolf than the fox, and I'm glad that these wolves showed their teeth, even though it was, they didn't expect it.
Candace.
Well, clearly, this is an example of what a covert racist look like. Let me tell y'all something. This is nothing new. This is exactly what these covert racists do. One minute they want to try to be like they your friend. Then they want to turn around and say, oh, I have a lot of black friends. I have a lot of people that I'm cool with. And then when you turn around and you hear exactly what their ideologies are, then now you want to be all surprised. No, baby, you shouldn't trust none of these suckers. Because at the end of the day, they don't give a damn about black people. They want to disenfranchise us. And see, I couldn't be the mayor of Oklahoma, baby, because I would have took it to the streets. Because somebody would have got their ass whooped.
Jason.
Well, I have to say, when I was listening to the tape, I felt like I was listening to an episode of King of the Hill, because they sounded like Boomhauer to me. So I was kind of piecing things together. But I did hear some threats in there. And, it's interesting to me that the governor is sitting there saying, oh, I want them to resign, when we see what happens in Florida when Ron DeSantis doesn't like a district attorney, he has them removed. We see what they're trying to do in the Georgia legislature to Fani Willis. They're trying to have her removed. Somehow, when somebody makes death threats at people, all of a sudden, it's, well, our hands are tied, but we want them to resign on their own. No power moves get made by the governor there. And obviously, he's not that offended, because you see power moves made when, Republicans want to get somebody that they think is left-leaning out. They find ways to get him out. But in this case, Governor Stitt is not that offended, because he's just asking.
All right, folks, hold tight 1 second. Got to go to a break. We come back. We will give you an update on Ralph Yarl, the 16-year-old brother who was shot in the head by a white man in Kansas City. That is next, right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol,
we're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
We're all impacted by the culture, whether we know it or not. From politics to music and entertainment, it's a huge part of our lives, and we're going to talk about it every day right here on The Culture with me, Faraji Muhammad, only on the Black Star Network.
Yeah. Hey, I'm Antonique Smith.
What up, Lana Well, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
The 84-year-old white man who shot Ralph Yarl twice in Kansas City, he posted $20,000 bond. He turned himself in earlier today, posted his bond. He is now out of jail. He was charged with 1 count of felony assault in the first degree and 1 count of armed criminal action for shooting Ralph Yarl on Thursday. His name is Andrew Lester. As I said, he turned himself in to authorities this morning, but he is now out on jail. Yarl, of course, accidentally went to the wrong address to pick up his siblings. And again, the bail was set at $200,000, so therefore he paid a $20,000 bond. He's facing a life sentence for the felony assault and 3 to 15 years in prison for the criminal action charge. Now, Yarl has been released from the hospital, is recovering at home, but his mother has given various interviews and has talked about how he's going to be suffering from the trauma of this for a very, very long time. Last night, we had Attorney Ben Crump on the show, and he talked about Ralph Yarl and his family yesterday talking with President Joe Biden, who placed a call to them. Crump told us that news first. Subsequently, the White House actually released more information about their phone call, and Ralph Yarl actually told President Biden that he wants to actually attend Texas A&M University to major in chemical engineering. And so I've actually been talking to folks at Texas A&M today. A number of people have been reaching out to the university to ask what they could do to help this young man. So hopefully we'll have some news about that very, very soon. Again, as he continues to recuperate, he still is dealing with swelling in the head, in his body. But again, he is back home resting and recuperating from this particular shooting. This is, of course, caused many people just to raise the questions in terms of just the safety of young black men. But obviously, it's just not just even young black men. There's a case out of New York where a white woman, 20 years old, was shot and killed for driving into the wrong driveway. This guy shot and killed her. Owns a construction company. Neighbors describe him as a hothead. Again, she just came down the wrong street. I mean, so we have this now. There's just this culture of folks and guns. My next guest is the mother of Ahmaud Arbery. Remember, he was chased and killed by 3 white men in Georgia. They are now in prison after they were convicted. Wanda Cooper Jones joins me now. And Wanda, again, you have Ralph Yarl, your son. We have, of course, this white woman in New York. Part of what we're seeing now is you've got all these Republican governors and legislatures that are passing laws allowing people now to get guns, to get pistols. No need to have any permits or whatever. I mean, so we just have this mentality of the wild, wild west out here, and the ramifications are people are ending up severely injured or dead because of this culture of guns in this country.
You're absolutely correct. And I thought that once Ahmaud was taken away from us so tragically, that they would control the gun laws here in the state of Georgia, but they've actually gotten worse. And what happened to the young man in Ohio, that was just, I mean, it was uncalled for. And it seems like it happens more and more too often.
Indeed. And again, folks, they'll sit here and they'll say they're sorry. They'll say things along those lines. But when you have to bury somebody, as I keep saying, you don't come back from death. That's it. That's finality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is correct. I mean, once they take the life is gone. And actually, Ahmaud was taken away back in 2020, and I relived that day each and every day.
You know, I was on a message board earlier, and that I had posted yesterday the call from President Biden, and there were people who were saying, well, this call is meaningless. You know, he needs to pass laws. I had to remind people, first of all, the president doesn't pass laws. Congress passes laws. But the reality is these shootings happen in states. They happen in Georgia. What happened with your son? This happened in Kansas City. And so the issue here is not what a president or Congress can do. This is why you've got to have police chiefs. You got to have district attorneys who are actually doing their job. And I think too many people who just simply don't understand how these things work. The reality is what happened here, a president can't do anything. In the case of your son, there were 3 DAs who didn't do their job.
Yes. And then you're absolutely correct. And actually, after the young man was shot, the other day, I mean, it wasn't any arrest done immediately. I think that there was a delay for justice in that case already, because he should have been arrested immediately.
Oh, absolutely. And in fact, what really happened was one of the shooters, they released the video thinking that was going to exonerate them. If it wasn't for that video, if it wasn't for that video released, I'll be honest, they'll still be free.
Yeah. And you're absolutely correct.
What do you say to a mother or a father out there? I was on a text change with several mothers, and they were just saying to the parents, they were just saying how they just have absolute fear for their young black male children in this society today.
Well, actually, you know, when you have young boys, you give them the talk. But in this case, in the case of Ahmaud, and the case of the young man who was shot the other day, is that Mr. Yule, he wasn't doing anything wrong. So you can't really protect them when they're not doing anything wrong. So really, you give them the talk, but really the talk now these days don't really protect them at all.
It doesn't, and I think what also needs to happen, and I keep saying this, and you know, I get these people who sit here and they say, "Oh, you're caping for Democrats," but I tell them all the time, it's only two parties. If you're sitting out elections, if you're not involved, if you're not voting these DAs out, if you're not voting these judges out, if you're not voting these sheriffs out, I mean, the reality is we have to use all the things at our disposal to change. Voting is one of those things because these are elected officials who are in office.
That is correct. But then when we put them in office, we have to trust and believe that they're going to do the right thing. And sometimes not.
Indeed. Next month, y'all have the Run with Maude 5K. Just share the details with folks.
Yes, I started the foundation shortly after Ahmaud was tragically killed. The foundation is focusing on the mental wellness of Black boys. We're doing our first 5K in Atlanta, Georgia on May 6th at 8 o'clock. I wish everyone would come out to support a good cause. All right, then. Well, we certainly glad to have you on the show, Wanda Cooper-Jones. Keep fighting a good fight, and we'll keep doing the exact same thing here. Thank you, Roland. Thanks for having me. All right, you take care. Thank you. Here's the thing here, Jason. People, I see these comments, and people go, well, Biden should be doing this, and Congress should be doing this. First of all, 90% of the people who are in prison and jails in this country are on the state and local level. And I just think that people want something done. Then I got all these people who go, yeah, but there needs to be an executive order that is specific to protect Black people. Let me just be real clear. There literally is no executive order, and there is no law that could have stopped the Ralph Yarl shooting. So it's not. So the question is, how do you deal with people after a particular act? But all the people who run around who keep yelling a specific law, that's not going to stop these heinous acts. Jason.
Yeah, I think it goes back to what we were saying earlier about continuing to try to make people value Black lives. That's what it comes down to. As long as America doesn't value Black lives and thinks Black lives are expendable or less worthy, less valuable, these things are going to continue to happen. When it comes down to legislation, yeah, there's some legislation that can happen. I think there's some things that people don't understand about our governmental process, about our Constitution, what can actually happen on a federal level, and how that would affect people on the state level. I think there's some misunderstanding about that. And a lot of times when, you know, I've asked people when they say, you know, Obama didn't do anything for Black people or Biden's not doing anything for Black people, and I ask them what they want, and a lot of times it's difficult to get an answer, or the answer is something that would totally get shot down at any level because it wouldn't be constitutional. So I think, you know, some of that is just a misunderstanding, but there are things that I think that the president can say. I think there are things that the president can advocate for. I think there are things that we should certainly go to all our elected officials at all levels of government, going down to your city and county council, all the way up to the president of the United States, to advocate for Black lives, but fundamentally, this is a cultural issue within the United States. There were dollar amounts on our heads at one point, and we haven't gotten past the fact that we don't value Black lives the way we value other lives, and that's what really fundamentally needs to change.
Here's the thing, again, when you start breaking these things down, Candace, there are existing hate crime laws. Well, people need to understand a federal hate crime law is different from a state hate crime law. And the burden and how you have to identify. Just because somebody white shoots somebody Black does not automatically make it a hate crime. They actually have to have a racial animus that is proven before the shooting. And so when these things happen, people obviously want justice. But this is why I keep trying to say, especially to all these people who are these simple Simons out here who keep yelling, don't vote, or I want this and I want that. Let me be perfectly clear. DAs are the ones who indict. Those are elected positions. So people have to understand, you can yell about Biden, you can yell about the CBC, you can yell about any of those people, but this happened in Kansas City. You needed local folk to step up and do their job.
Well, see, Roland, this is what people got to understand. Your local elections matter, okay? And then let's just look at this for just a second. First of all, the main people that are complaining about legislation, about policies, and things that will affect our people refuse to get their butt up out there to vote. You know what I mean? So my thing is, if you're not going to get out there to vote, then what you complaining about? They have to understand. This is why they are working so hard to keep us from voting with our voting rights. It's a reason for this. They need to understand that these elected officials work for us. We can fire them and we can hire them. Just like in Texas, we have the most African Americans in all of the state of the union. And don't you know that we damn near don't have majority of the African Americans to vote, which we can turn this state blue if everybody could vote? But my thing is, but you quick to want to turn around and want to talk about the DA. You quick to want to turn around and want to talk about the mayor. You quick to want to turn around and talk about the county commissioner and how things are not done. But when it's time for you to get to that voting poll, you ready to go to the club, then be over here at this poll so we can hire and fire these suckers that's not doing what they need to do for us.
The thing here, and Teron, look, I get people's frustrations and folk want things to be done. I try to walk people through exactly what that means. Like literally, I had somebody arguing with me today, and a woman said, why can't Biden pass a bill? And I said, because he doesn't pass bills. He can propose bills, but Congress actually passes bills. And then I had to walk this person through to explain to them that the feds just can't indict this guy. He has to be indicted on the local level. Now, yes, DOJ can come in and launch an investigation, but there are very narrow parameters as the Department of Justice has in terms of what federal crimes, federal laws that may have been broken. And so it's just a lot of people just don't have any understanding of the nuance there, but I'm gonna keep going back to it. If you want to see changes, because folks, again, the shooting happened on Monday, and then the outcry over the weekend, and then the guy gets indicted on yesterday, okay? So it was a 4-day period before that took place. This is also why you have to understand that district attorney matters. And they hate the fact that you got Alvin Bragg, and you had Marilyn Mosby in Baltimore, and you've got Kim Gardner in St. Louis, you got Wesley Bell, and you got others. And so I keep saying to people, if you want to see change, you better understand all of the elected officials that play a role in this, federal, state, and local.
You're absolutely right, Roland. And I think what we have is an issue with messaging. Look, I have issues with this administration. I have issues with the DNC. But we also have to be mindful of the fact that, as you said, all politics is local to a point. And I think there's this idea in people says that if something happens, if there's an injustice, that you have to get on a bus or you have to get on a plane and fly to Washington and walk into the White House and slap a bill down on Biden's desk. That's not really the way it works. And that's not necessarily, that doesn't discount the fact that people are frustrated. I just think that a lot of times people don't know how to channel that frustration into actual work because they have this idea that you have to go to the executive level to make something happen when, as you said, you know, district attorneys, prosecutors, police chiefs, all these people are the people who affect your life every day. And these are the things that happen. And these are the people you have to reach out to and put truth to power to these people before you can go to that level of leaving out of a state to go get something done. Also, what people don't do is, I think people get caught up in the big sexy elections like the presidential elections. Every time there's a presidential election, there's a big media push around the nation, obviously, for attention for presidential elections. Anytime there's like a local or state election, you can walk in, vote if you do go, and come back out in 5 minutes. We have to make people understand how important local elections are and how important state elections are, especially on the Democratic side. The Republicans know. They don't care if there's an election for dog catcher. If there's a Republican candidate on the ballot, they're going to show up for that candidate. We have to make that happen for us as well on the other side.
Well, absolutely. That is absolutely is the case. And again, I just need people to understand. You can yell, holler, and scream. You can demand justice. I had one person on Instagram. She was like, this ain't going to change if we set up our own government. That ain't going to happen. And so, again, listen, some of y'all can listen to these people out here who throw all kind of crazy stuff at you. Listen, you're not setting up your own government. You're just not. I mean, look, it may sound great. It may sound wonderful. But you're not setting up your own country and your own government. So, seriously, stop saying that dumb shit. Because it's not happening. All right? And again, it may sound cute. And you may think, oh, man, oh, yeah. And you listen to some people out there and you follow them on Instagram and you watch them on YouTube. That ain't happening. This is what we have. The question is, are we going to maximize our power to change it? You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind $100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
How y'all doing? It's your favorite funny girl, Amanda Seals.
Hi, I'm Anthony Brown from Anthony Brown and Group Therapy.
What up, Lana Well, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, my next guest is using the proceeds of their business to actually feed the homeless. That's right. Unique idea here. I want you to welcome to the show again our guest. We're talking, of course, out of my home state of Texas. Certainly glad to have you on the show to talk about your company, your hoodie company, Rosemary Tucker Hoodies for Healing Foundation out of Houston. First of all, when did you start it?
We started the foundation in 2019.
Why? What was the reason?
The reason was because we needed to raise the funds to pay for my daughter's brain surgery. She got really, really sick when she was going to Prairie View in 2018, and they found the cyst growing in the center of her brain, and she needed to have it surgically removed. And we needed to raise about $100,000 in order to do that, because at the time she didn't have insurance. And so we started selling I Am Healed hoodies, which was hoodies, and we were going to take the proceeds and pay for the brain surgery.
Gotcha. And how did that go?
It went very well. It was very successful. It was so successful, we decided to keep it going. Because basically it was just, you know what, if it was so successful helping my daughter, God, and thank you for healing her, let me continue using the hoodies to help others that are hurting, whether they're hurting, homeless, or hungry. Let me just continue designing and selling hoodies. And we called it Hoodies for Healing, because basically what we're trying to do is just heal the world, one hoodie at a time.
And how many hoodies have y'all sold?
Well, we served over 40,000 homeless Houstonians. So we've sold quite a many hoodies, and we paid for her brain surgery, and we raised about $60,000 to do that. And like I said, we've been doing it now since 2020, serving the homeless every Sunday, never missed a Sunday, and we served over 40,000.
All right, then. Questions from our panel. Candace, you first.
Well, first of all, I know this young lady personally because, one, I have been in the fight with this young lady in the beginning. And in fact, I normally go out and help her serve the homeless. And then we collaborated together to feed 300 foster CPS families on Saturday before Easter, and then 400 homeless people on Easter. So this is my sister in the fight, and she's awesome, and I would just continuously help her.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Candace. I just appreciate your support so much.
All right, then. Toran.
First of all, sister, I love what you're doing. That looks like amazing work. My question for you is, do you have any plans to expand this outside of the state and maybe do this nationwide and maybe like run a campaign that way and partner with other people who are doing campaigns on this?
We don't put limitation on our abilities. We're willing to go wherever we can be a help, because we're just here to help. And, hoodies are just like nationwide. Everyone wears hoodies. That's why we call it Hoodies for Healing. So, yeah, we would love to go globally. We would love to have more support. We would love to be in other cities, helping them with their homeless problems. We would love to, open more doors and serve more homeless people. Absolutely. We have no problem taking it global. We have no problem serving in other states. We have no problem serving in whatever doors they asked us to walk through. Dr. Candace is a personal friend of mine. I love and respect her. Anytime she calls and asks me, hey, I need you to be a part of this. I need Hoodies for Healing to do this for me. It's like a no-brainer, because at the end of the day, we are helping humans. We are helping humanity. Whether it's serving a foster family or serving a homeless person, we're still helping humans by the sale of our hoodies.
Jason.
Your designs, they look amazing. Are you the person who's behind these designs and slogans? How do you guys come up with them?
You know what? I create slogans that empower me and speak to me. And I'll call my graphics designer, who's been with me since 1997, and he'll design it to put on the hoodie. Because if it's empowering me and it's speaking to me and it's speaking blessings and life into me and strengthening me, I want it to do somewhere, I want it to have that type of effect on someone else. And so, yeah, I do. I come up with these slogans. I come up with anything that's going to praise God and that's going to be positive to where you read this hoodie and it just wants to put a smile on your face. I've always been a spiritual person. I'm not a negative person. I'm a very powerful, positive person. And I just choose to empower others through my self hoodies. And I also say serve the homeless, not feed the homeless, because I look at them as human and not cattle. So I never say feed. I always say serve, because when we go down there on Sunday, we're actually serving God's children. And the reason I'm doing that is because I remember going to Jesus and praying for him not to let my daughter die, and making a promise that if you save my daughter's life and heal her and let her stay with me and I take her with you, I will serve your children every Sunday until you come. That's the day that I'm going to dedicate and praise you and serve you by serving your children, because that's the highest form of praise, by giving back to the ones that are homeless, hurting, and homeless.
All right. Now, if folks want to support what y'all are doing, where do they go?
Hoodiesforhealing.com, hoodies4healing.com. We're also on Instagram as Hoodies for Healing, and we're also on Facebook as Hoodies for Healing. But the best way to support us is to make a donation at hoodiesforhealing.com, or to purchase a hoodie or purchase a tee, and the sales are really used to serve the community.
All right. Rosemary Tucker, we appreciate it. Thanks so much. Good luck.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. You take care.
Thank you, Candace. Love you.
All right, Candace, Toran, Jason, we shall appreciate y'all joining us on today's show. Folks, remember to support us in what we do. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. Your dollars allow us to cover the news every single day. Send your check and money orders to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered. PayPal are Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. And be sure to get your copy of my book, White Fear, The Browning of Americans Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Holla! Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now. Black power.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Pull up a chair. Take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
We're all impacted by the culture, whether we know it or not. From politics to music and entertainment, it's a huge part of our lives, and we're going to talk about it every day right here on The Culture with me, Faraji Muhammad, only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.